So, I want to put y'all on a revelation that I had when I was watching Lion King the other day. Mind you, I've watched Lion King for like at least 10 to 12 times over my whole childhood, right? But ever since I've put on the spiritual glasses, I guess you can say, and opened my eyes, I see things totally different now. Like, I see everything in vibration and frequency, and I see the spiritual meaning of a lot of things. So, I was watching Lion King, and something told me to pick that movie before I even watched it. And I'm going to tell y'all the spiritual significance and the spiritual, what do you call it? Ideas that was in it, right? So first, who killed Mufasa? Scar, right? Who was he to Mufasa? His brother. And we all know that most of the time your spiritual attacks, your energy draining, be coming from your family, your close ones, the ones that you're closest with. And not only that, but Scar end up killing him because he wanted his power. He wanted his place. He wanted his place in the kingdom, right? Okay, so then, Simba ends up running away. He ends up running away from the kingdom. Stay with me to the end. He ends up running away, right? He forgets who he is. And that's what happens to us as spirits when we come down to earth as a human. We forget who we are. Okay? So he forgets who he is. He ends up being guided by the monkey to a message, right? And on his way to the message to get the reflection, to see the reflection in the water, he ends up having to go through this like path. And the path, he has to go like up and down, and there's like wires and briars, and there's like all type of stuff that he has to get through to get to the other side, to get to the message. And that's spiritual warfare. You'll go through spiritual warfare on your way to receiving the messages that you need to get. You'll also go through obstacles and troubles. That's all a symbol of the troubles and the obstacles in the spiritual warfare, right? So he goes through it, he gets through it, he gets to the water, and he looks at himself in the reflection of the water. And he don't see nothing, right? But the monkey says, "Look harder." And he looks again, and he sees the reflection of his father. And the monkey ends up saying, "He lives in you. God lives in you. God lives in you. Look in your reflection. He is in you. He lives in you." Listen, I'm going to keep going. Listen, this ain't it. So, okay, so Simba ends up seeing the reflection, right? He understands that his father lives in him. So then he ends up going out into the field, and guess what? His father comes down in these big old clouds, right? He comes down from the heavens, from the sky, to speak with him. That's our ancestors. That's our spiritual team. And the father comes down to guide him and remind him of who he is, and to put him back in his place, put him back on his path that he was destined to be on. So he comes down, he talks to him, he's like, "Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember whose you are." Right? And that's the Father. That's our spiritual guys. That's our ancestors keeping us on, like speaking through us, speaking to us, getting us back on our path, reminding us of who we are, what our divine place in the kingdom is, right? So then Simba, he's like, oh yeah, he ends up remembering who he is, and he goes back to his kingdom, right? The kingdom that he was destined and born into. With his kingdom, he goes back to fight it. He goes back to fight Scar for the righteous ownership of his kingdom. And that's how what we go through with the chosen ones, and with spiritual warfare. We gotta go and fight these evil. Scar is the evil. Scar is the wicked. You gotta go and you gotta battle the wicked and the evil every day for your righteous place in the kingdom, right? And of course, Simba ends up winning, and he ends up gaining his kingdom back, because that is his destiny. That was his. Oh, and I forgot to say this. When Simba ran away, right? The way he was able to reconnect to his righteous place and be reminded, the first thing, Nala ran into him, right? They just bumped in together. They bumped into each other randomly, right? But not randomly. It was destined. And that's what happens on your path and your journey. God will place people, opportunities, and positions in the perfect timing on your path and journey to remind you of the path of where you're supposed to go, of who you are, of what your destined path is, of who you are, whose you are, and your destined path, right? That's just divine timing. That's just divine intervention. And God will do that for you. Okay, so to continue on before this cuts me off. Simba ends up going back, reclaiming his righteous place in the kingdom, which is what the chosen ones and the spiritual leaders and those that do. You got to fight the wicked. You got to fight the evil to make sure you standing in your light, right? So he takes over his kingdom. And that's what we have to do now. The people who are the light bearers and the people who are good-hearted, pure-hearted, we got to fight the evil and the wicked to make sure that we are standing in our divine, righteous place that was given to us by birth in the kingdom of God, and staying righteous in the kingdom. And that is the message. It was so powerful for me whenever I watched it. The last time I watched it the whole way through, and I was just like, it's like Spirit was just showing me all these synchronicities and the spiritual level of it. It was just amazing, and I had to share it. If you know, you know. If you see, you see. I'm sending you so much love.